Thank you for tuning into the I'm Not Emotional podcast. My name is Javier, and a lot of the subject that we discuss on this podcast can fit under the categories of sexually orientated content, suicide, suicidal thoughts, self-harm, drug and alcohol abuse, physical, sexual, and verbal abuse as well. Now, please know if you are feeling suicidal in any kind of way, please reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That number is 800-273-8255. Again, that number is 800-273-8255. A lot of the material that we discuss on this channel is not suitable for young viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. This is Javier. I appreciate you listening. I know some of you guys have had a rough week or maybe a rough couple days. God damn it, maybe you have a rough month. This might not even be your year. But I want you to know that I love you. And I hope you find all the successes that you're looking for. Today, I have a special guest on. His name's Ivan. We've gotten to know each other these past couple years. I would consider him a friend. We're working together on Mañana Come. It's opening on the 5th of November at the Stars West Theater here in Bakersfield. Ivan's directing the show, and this is his first debut as a director, and he's making waves, baby. So thank you, Ivan, for coming onto the podcast.
Thank you for having me here. And about the play, it's going to open on November 5th, and it's my first play that I've ever directed. The opportunity kind of just fell on my hands. Mm-hmm. I was not expecting it, and I was not really hard looking for it in a very intense way. But when it was proposed to me that if I wanted to direct a play, I couldn't say no to it.
No, absolutely. So what is your last name?
Mendoza. I go by Mendoza.
Oh, right on. You know what? I got some Mendoza in my lineage as well.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's Medina.
Oh, Medina.
Mendoza,
so close.
Do the same thing, man.
So close.
Right on, man. So walking into this as being your first directing, your directorial debut, how's the anxiety levels from walking into it to where they're at now, a week from opening?
Oh, well, it's been a whole roller coaster. The whole thing has been a trip. When I was first proposed this idea, I got super excited and I didn't even think about it. I was like, hell yeah, just give me whatever it is.
Jump on it, yeah.
Exactly. As long as it has to do with performing and putting my art on the view of people, why not? Mm-hmm. But then as I started getting closer to the audition day, it started dawning on me that holy shit, this is real. I'm actually going to direct the play. Yeah. I was getting nervous because some people were saying, do you have the actors already? Do you have some actors in mind? And I didn't have any actors in mind other than you, because as I was reading the play, since I've worked with you before, I kind of just saw you on the play as I was reading it, really? Immediately started hearing your voice as I was reading that character. So I'm like, fuck, man. It's clearer than water. I have to get Javi for this one.
Very cool. So, coming from theater, and I know theater is one of those things that's very intimidating to get to like come walk through the door, put your first foot forward, and starting something like theater. Where did it start with you? Was it something you kind of just natural at, or did you have to like overcome something to walk into the audition?
Well, I guess I'm kind of natural at it, but it's mainly because since I was a very young kid, a toddler, you can say, I've been really into performing and into the arts. I never really thought about it that way until I got to high school. But when I was a kid, I would do this the folklorico dances for the school. When they will have the festivities and the shows, I will always be there. I will always be wanting to be one of the first people when we did marches for the school. And there's this one story when I was a little kid, though. I was so terrified of performing. I guess it was one of my first performances ever. We had everything rehearsed. We were ready to go. The audience was out there just seeing us, waiting for us to start dancing. And out of nowhere, when the music started, I started crying, and instead of dancing towards my partner, I started walking off stage to my mom, and I was like, "Mom, I don't want to do it."
That's terrible, dude. That's terrible. At least
it
you
was-
got over it then, right?
Yeah, it was. My partner though, she was so pissed. She was so sad as well.
Furious.
She didn't even want to do it anymore.
Damn.
They gave her the opportunity to dance just by herself, but she was going to be the only one without a partner, and I guess she felt humiliated with all the reason, and just walked off stage too.
So, did you get into theater here or in Mexico?
Here, I got into performing in Mexico, but here I got into theater, kind of by accident.
Mm-hmm.
I was during my junior year of high school. I was in an elective of drawing, and the teacher wanted me to stand up for the flag during pledge of allegiance. And I kind of didn't want to do that because I didn't want to stand up for the flag that kind of didn't want me here and wanted to kick me out constantly. So I told him that I wasn't going to stand up and I wasn't going to salute the flag, and he got really upset. He told me that if I didn't do that, he was going to send me to the dean's office. So that same day during lunch, I went to the dean's office myself and I asked him to change me classes, change me electives. They didn't want to, but I told him, listen, the teacher doesn't like me. I don't like him. Either you guys change me classes right now, or tomorrow I'm going to be here with a teacher's note saying that he doesn't want me in the class. So they just sped up the process, and they told me the only option was theater. I said, why not? I started doing theater 1, and I started doing some little performances that they had us for assignments, and the teacher really liked me. So when the the lip sync battle came to place in the high school, she asked me to do it, and I went, and I ended up winning. I didn't even have hopes for it, but I ended up winning, and she just loved it. So the next year, instead of putting me in theater 2, she put me in advanced drama.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, and that's when you start doing the big shows. Basically, if you want to be part of the performance in any show in high school, you have to be in advanced drama.
Right.
Yeah, and I loved it. I didn't get any major characters, but just having the people there cheering for me when I won the lip sync battle, I didn't even expect it. And having the lights, the people cheering, it was like, oh my God, they love me. I love this.
Oh yeah, dude, that recognition from the audience, man. When they just
Right?
you soak that shit up, man.
Especially when you don't expect to,
Right.
Now
And
that
in high school where you would never get it anywhere else.
Exactly.
Unless you like played sports and you're a star athlete.
When you're desperately looking for validation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Especially when you never really got much validation from your parents as well as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes actors great.
Right? We're all just fucked up.
They're all fucked up, and they all thrive on attention. Even though I got plenty of attention as a kid, but for some reason I just wasn't enough. Even though I got plenty,
You wanted more.
I wanted more. Dude.
It's never enough.
It's like that first drug, bro. First time you get high, man. It's never gonna be the same. That's cool, man. So, with your relationship with theater, so how long ago was that?
What do you mean?
So, from walking on stage for the first time to directing, that's got to be what, 5 years, 6 years?
I think so. It was 1 year of high school, 3 years of college, 1 year off. Yeah, about 5 years.
I gotta say those are some impressive numbers, my friend.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
So you did theater that whole time?
I took a break for a year from theater because I got dropped out of a play, and mainly my fault.
You needed some time to recover.
Yeah, I needed some time not only to recover my self-esteem of acting, but to recover my reputation. No other director wanted me there because the reason why I got dropped out of a play is because I skipped one of the rehearsals during tech week, about 2 days before opening night.
Damn.
Yeah. So the directors just told the stage manager to text me that since I didn't show up the day, to not even bother showing up. And so I just went and picked up my boots, and somebody else did my part.
Damn, dude.
No other director wanted to work with me after that, which, it's fair enough.
What show was that?
It was, Hotel Baltimore?
Hotel Baltimore?
Yeah.
Where at?
It was at BC, and Cheyenne was part of that show as well. That's where I first met her. And, yeah. Nobody wanted to work with me. Then Kim, one of the BC theater professors, she decided to give me an opportunity in the play Boys in the Band, where I ended up playing a gay prostitute cowboy.
Everybody's got to be a gay prostitute cowboy.
At some
eventually,
point,
man.
you know, when you're so low, you might as well start somewhere.
Yeah, when you're low, you gotta work your way up, dude. Traveling truck stops. Slowly nickel and diming, man.
No, and after that, she gave me another opportunity for 12 Frankie Jurors, which is where I met John Spitzer, the artistic director of the Stars Playhouse. And he's the one who gave me the opportunity to direct.
Nice.
Because in that play, 12 Frankie Jurors, we ended up being nominated for the ACTF competition.
Yeah, I
in LA.
remember that, yeah.
It was great too. I loved it. Didn't pass to the second round, but just being there was an amazing experience, and I hope to go back there someday.
Yeah, that's impressive, being in the ACT. You definitely have quite the catalog of highlights in your theoretical career, bro. For sure. So, a lot of the stuff that you ran into that kind of got in your way, how much of that was being an illegal immigrant?
I wouldn't know.
Really?
Yeah.
It hasn't really been a problem?
I assume it's been a problem at some points, but it's not like somebody was openly racist against me or somebody openly didn't cast me because I was an immigrant. But
Right.
perhaps because the plays that were being put up simply didn't have space for somebody who looks like me.
Right.
You know, short, brown, with the thick accents.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just little by little making me known in the community and making the community like me a little more, which is what's given me a little more opportunities ever since. But I assume some place I didn't get cast on because I'm Mexican looking. You know, I can't even say I was because I still am, and I'll always be.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But
It's kind of hard to get away from the accent.
yeah, it's kind of hard way to get away from the accent and from my skin color and my height. Like those things are just always going to be there. So perhaps I didn't get casted because I simply didn't fit the vision of the show, but not specifically because I was Mexican or.
So your height has been more of an issue than actual.
I mean, it could have
Papeles,
been. Could
huh?
have been. My height has been definitely an issue on dating, but
Yeah, I'm sure it's an issue with everything, dog.
yeah. I
Good
mean, even
stuff.
to reach the tallest things on the shelf.
Yeah, I bet like your top shelf of your fridge is just empty.
I mean, when you're that short, you just learn how to jump really high.
Well, you're not that short. How tall are you?
5'5".
That's not fucking short.
Eh,
That's short with dating, but that's not short with fucking.
it's not super short
You're not
for
limited
sure,
on
but
what fridges you can own.
oh yeah, like I'll definitely reach any cabinet in my house at any moment.
Sure.
But yeah, it's not necessarily tall either. It's not even the average height of an American man, which kind of makes sense since I'm Mexican.
Right. What's the average height of Mexicans?
It's, still a little taller than me.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
5'6", dog. 5'7"?
About 5'7", 5'6".
Yeah, 5'7" is about right. Yeah.
Yeah. For Americans, I think it's 5'8", 5'9".
So how old were you when you came over here?
I was 14, 13, both 13, 14 years old.
How did that go down? You just.
Well, the reason as to why I came here, or just the adapting to being here.
I would say I want to start with the reason why you came over here and the process of coming here.
Oh man, you're gonna get me deported.
well, man, there's not a lot of opportunity out there to talk to an illegal immigrant that you're friends with that's open enough to discuss these things and is as articulate as you are.
Oh, thank you. But realistically, one of the reasons I am comfortable talking about this is because as of now, I am in a process to fix my documentation.
Nice.
So technically, I am able to talk about this because they can't deport me right now, unless the judge says otherwise during the court meeting.
Which that shit costs like 20 grand, huh?
Oh yeah, so far I've spent like, what, 12, 13 grand? And just to start the process. The start of the process and the middle of the process are the two most expensive parts, because at one point I'm going to have to go back to Mexico, to Ciudad Juarez, so the government can pardon me for coming here undocumentedly and staying here after turning 18. Which, it sounds like a bit of bullshit, but
It's all bullshit.
it's the rules and we just have to go through the process.
Yeah. So what made you come here?
Basically, the fact that my father got involved in very shady businesses with the wrong people.
Shady businesses.
It's always the father's fault, bro.
Yeah, right. You got to blame somebody as the problem child.
And usually it's not you, because it's always easier to put the blame on other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But No, my father just got involved with the wrong people and somehow ended up broke. Either way, he ended up being the mayor of the town that we were living in.
Oh, the mayor?
Yeah, he was a mayor, and he was still involved with shady people, and still he ended up owing people millions of pesos,
Damn.
which is one of the reasons that my sister ended up getting killed, which was a major point in my life. It basically turned me to all the bad things that I once was, and uh, yeah. So at one point he ended up being shot at outside of his parents' house when they were all hanging out. It was after my sister had gotten killed, and he lost an arm for that. Luckily, it was only an arm that was lost that day, and none of the other people's lives because they had nothing to do with that. It was all his fault. And uh, since that day, my mother kind of understood that it was not possible for us to stay in Mexico anymore, even if we separated from him, because for some reason she didn't want to separate from him. Separate from him. She had this thing that you know how when you get kidnapped and your kidnappers start treating you well and you fall in love with the kidnappers.
Like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, Stockholm syndrome. She kind of had that with my father because he would beat her up every day when I was a kid, to the point that the nose that she has right now is not the nose that she was born with. She had to get it operated because he broke it. Just on a fit of rage. I don't even remember what it was for, but he broke her nose. So when he came home without an arm and he ran to hug me because I was the oldest child now, I didn't even bother on hugging him either because quite a couple of times he had rejected me in public when I tried to hug him, just saying that he didn't like hugs. And you know, as a 8, 9 year old kid, that really stinks. So after my dad got shot up, we ended up moving here to Mexico. I jumped with the coyote. First, I was separated from my family for about what a week. They took me to a house. I was separated from my siblings, which was one of the most traumatic things. I would say up there with my sister getting killed right next to me, because after that was like the only protection that my siblings had. We were separated from my mother, and then they separated all three of us to different families because they were going to cross us differently, so that it was easier. And all I could remember from that night when we got separated was when my younger sister, was crying to me, saying that she was scared. And I told her that I was going to protect her. And as I was finishing that sentence, they opened the door and they took her out of the car and they took her away. And I couldn't do anything. So, yeah, for about a week and a half, I can't remember the exact time, but it was a couple of weeks that we were separated, and I was living with another family. I met somebody there. It's this young lady of around my age, and just having somebody to talk to that was in a similar situation to me made the whole situation a little easier as well. The family too, they were really nice. They had the rules very strict, but anytime they'll go to the store, they'll buy us something, get us some candy, some snacks. They'll always feed us. We were not suffering with the family. They made sure that we were okay, which they were getting paid well. So,
Wait, so they were traveling as well?
no, they were just the family that we stayed with until the coyote came to pick us up.
Oh, so they worked with the coyote.
Yeah, they worked with the coyote, and after that, the coyote just picked me up. She gave me the papers of her son, which was called, I think, something like Jose, or I don't remember. Jonathan, that was the name. I'm not gonna say last names because I don't remember.
I barely remember the first name. Yeah.
Yeah, barely remember the first name. I was a kid, and I
You
was
were 14.
Yeah,
So this whole time you're 14 years old.
yes, 13, 14 years old, and I was going to cross through the line, through the whole security. Luckily, I didn't have to go through the desert or through mountains or through the river. That was one of the few things that my dad did do right. He at least had enough money for us to come here in a safer way.
So you paid for all four of you guys?
All three. Only my brother, my sister, and I. My mother stayed in Mexico for about a year and a half after we crossed because, again, the Stockholm syndrome. She just had to stay with my father. It's also this this crazy old belief that was huge in the Mexican culture, that you got to stay with your husband, you got to stay with your wife, and you can't separate because that's a sin. What are they going to say about you? You know, what people are going to think. What is God going to think about that? But it wasn't until the moment that she was completely done that she was able to finally leave him. But
So you just walked through the border.
I just walked through the border.
Border control.
Yes, she gave them the idea of her son, and she gave me her phone, so I will be playing games, so I will be distracted because she saw that I was nervous. And this is one of the times in which being a performer kind of helped. I was just trying to relax myself, focusing on the game, and saying, "This is going to go well. Just stay calm. Nothing's gonna happen. You're just gonna walk through. They may not even ask for your name, so just walk through." And I didn't know barely any English. You know, just a couple of words like dog, cat, mom, and I knew the name and how to say yes and how to understand if somebody was asking for my name. And that's what the border patrol person did. He asked who was Jonathan, and I just looked up and said me. He looked down at the ID, looked at me, and looked at the computer again, and just let us through.
Whoa.
Right?
Whoa.
It was. I felt really happy, excited, and I was extremely lucky with those situations.
Yeah.
Yes, just the fact that I was able to go through the line and not having
look
to.
like the guy in the ID?
We were young and brown.
The patrol guy just got a fat chew in his lip. Playing Candy Crush on his phone, dude. He don't give a fuck.
Yeah, he's like, they look similar. That's
They all
enough.
look the same out here, boy. Just look for crocodile boots. Those are the ones you want to look out for.
One of my first experiences when I came here to the U.S. was hilarious because I just saw, as I walked outside of the office of Border Patrol, I saw like about 20 to 30 Asian guys, all dressed on the same suits, carrying the same briefcase, and they just were walking the same direction. I was like, what is this? Like, what's happening?
OTMs, dog?
Yeah, this is going to sound a little racist, but I was a kid, and I was like, is this the War of the Clones?
You ever see that movie Born in East LA?
What was that?
Born in East LA with Cheech Marino? He talks about he gets deported, but he's born in LA, but he forgot his wallet on his dresser, and he like stumbles into like this manufacturing plant where they have like illegal immigrants working, and so they deport him, and they're like they take him to Mexico, and he gets a job training Asians how to act more American because they came from China, and they're called OTMs, other than Mexicans.
Oh.
And so they don't even speak Spanish. They speak, they're Koreans or whatever, Chinese guys. And so like, oh yeah, and he goes, all right, do you want to say disco bunny? And you're like, no, he's like trashy terms like from LA, right? From the 70s.
Just teaching them the lingo.
Yeah, so yeah, dude, that's I guess that's been pretty common for years, dude. Is Asians sneaking into the country through Mexico instead of like in sea trains in San Francisco.
Damn, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if they can do it, then congrats to them.
So
all it takes to get a better life.
Were they like detained when you saw them, or were they like?
No, they were
like, yay, it worked, you know.
They were walking the opposite direction than I was walking. So I was coming into the U.S. and I guess they were going to an office nearby because they were walking towards me, and it was the first time that I had seen the big traffic lights with the little hand and the stickman walking lights in there too. The first time those buttons actually worked, because in Mexico we had some of those, but they never work.
Oh yeah.
So you just jaywalker.
Right, jaywalker. Don't you
just jaywalker.
So was that your first time? Was there any? Would you grow up with any Asians in Mexico?
Did I have what?
Did you grow up with any Asians in Mexico?
No.
So that was your first.
It was all people that looked like me.
Yeah, right.
Because it wasn't even a big diverse city. It was just a small town where I grew up. So
where did you grow up?
In Apatzingán, Michoacán.
Okay.
It's when I left, it was very rural, and now, as I've heard, it's getting bigger and bigger and more like a city now instead of a small town.
Okay, well that was 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, about 10 years ago, about a decade ago. Damn, I've been here for that long.
10 years, dog. So you cross the border. You're no longer paying attention to the phone. You see United States for the first time?
For the very first time.
And the first thing that stood out to you was the buttons work on the crosswalks.
Yes.
Very cool.
One of the first things, and like a bunch of Asian people dressed the same, walking the same. Those were the two biggest impressions.
Where did you cross? At San Diego or Texas?
Oh, from Tijuana.
So San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah, that's a trip, dude.
It was nice. After that, this lady handed me over to another lady with her daughter, and then they just waited with me for a little while until my cousin came to pick me up, and they just handed me over to her. She took me to LA to her house. I slept there, and the morning after, my grandma came to pick me up and took me to her house here in Bakersfield.
Whoa.
And when I got there, my siblings were already there, but they were asleep. And it was night already, so she just told me to sleep on the couch. I slept there. The morning after, I woke up really early, and I felt, because I was uncomfortable, it wasn't a new place to me. It was a whole new lifestyle, and I had just gone through all of that, of crossing the border, not seeing my family, not knowing where my siblings were, because throughout the whole time, I didn't get any news from anybody. I was not in contact with anybody from the outside world. And the next morning, I saw, I think it was my brother. It was my brother. He woke up earlier than my sister, and he just came to the living room, and I saw him, and he saw me, and we just say, "Hey." We couldn't get emotional with each other at that point. We were kind of broken, the both of us.
In shock.
Yeah, we were in shock. After a couple hours, when everybody was up and stuff, we started talking about the whole experience, and we started hugging each other. We cried a little bit, but it was a hard time for my grandma as well, because now she had 3 kids to take care of when she wasn't expecting that. My parents said that they were going to keep sending money for us, but no money ever came. And then it was just my grandma taking care of us. I was a very troubled teenager. I was giving them a lot of shit. At one point, I bought some chocolate bars and some cookies and marshmallows because I wanted to make s'mores in the house for everybody, to get everybody a little closer together. But then my siblings were like, "No, we just want to eat the chocolate." And I'm like, "No, we're making s'mores." My grandma's like, "Dude, just give them one chocolate." And she took the chocolate bar, and I got super mad, and I started throwing a fit. It's like, "No, I wanted to make the fucking..." I forgot the name now. S'mores. I want to make s'mores. I want to make s'mores. And my grandma just threw the chocolate bar on me. And when it landed on the floor, I started dancing zapateado on it. I just started stomping on the chocolate bar, saying, "Fuck this," and just walked away.
Damn.
I was a troubled child. I was a piece of shit.
Yeah, well, you're going through a lot, man.
Yeah.
And I doubt anybody's talking to you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's really talking to you. Fine.
Didn't really understand what was going on or how I was supposed to behave. That plus the fact that I never really saw a healthy home life. He was always an abusive father, a very controlling mother, which I had some resentment with my mother growing up. But as I grow older, I'm letting go of all of that as well, because I'm realizing that a lot of those things were not really her fault. She wasn't really in much control of the situation as I wanted to believe that she was.
Right.
Yeah.
How's your relationship with your mom now?
It's getting better, little by little. She's learning to see me as an adult, and I'm learning to just not be on her way. Just grow up. I want to grow up. I want to become independent and fully have my own lifestyle, but it gets a little hard.
Right.
Yeah. When there's not many job opportunities because of the whole paper situation, you can only take what you can get. And yeah, it's not much. And the house price is just shooting up every year.
Yeah.
Skyrocketing.
It's getting worse and worse, man.
It's getting worse and worse. The bubble's got to pop.
Yeah, you go back to Mexico.
Fuck no, bro. Fuck no. Oh, if I can't have a good life here, it will be much worse over there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, with moving back, how long was it until your mom came back?
About 1.5 years.
So
she keeps saying that it was just 1 year, but it was 1.5 years.
And you're going to school this whole time?
I got here during the last semester of the year. So I skipped the whole semester. I was just inside the house. I couldn't go out because if they saw me out, they would have arrested me, and they would have arrested my grandmother too, because why I'm not in school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then the whole gate would have been up. So we had to wait. And instead of entering as a sophomore, which is what I should have done, they put me as a freshman, because one, didn't know any English,
Mm-hmm.
and two, they didn't really have records of me being in school.
So how do you get away with that paperwork? Not having a paperwork trail, getting into high school?
They just took me.
Oh yeah.
I didn't have any beginning high school.
So you could have literally just made up a name or whatever and got into the school.
Yeah, I could have make up a name. I didn't have much documentation, but I did have my birth certificate, and that was all they needed.
From Mexico.
Yeah, from Mexico.
Oh,
And I
shit.
think I had my passport at the same time, and that was enough for me to get into high school. Plus, it would have been a little fucked up had they just say, "Oh no, you can't come into the school. You can't get an education."
Yeah, that's you know what? That's right. Yeah, that's pretty fucked.
It would have been fucked.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked.
But it's kind of what some colleges do. If you don't have documentation, you can't really go to big colleges.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Here in the States?
here in the States.
So there's some universities won't accept students.
Some universities won't accept undocumented students.
Damn.
Yeah.
There's BC's obviously not like that. But what about Cal State Bakers?
Oh yeah, they do, but because they're not as high status,
Prestigious?
they're not as prestigious as other universities may be.
Oh, okay.
Plus, at the same time, it just even for some of the ones who accept undocumented students, it gets hard because they have to pay even more because they're not residents. They're not residents of the area. Like here in BC, had there not been a law saying that if I live here, I can consider myself a California resident for the colleges, I would have had to pay out of state tuition.
Oh, really?
Yes.
No shit.
And so for everybody who tries to go to a big university, they kind of have to do that because they're not really residents, not even of the country, much less of the state.
Do you know any illegal immigrants that have tried to get into the larger universities?
No,
Or just stories?
no, I don't. I don't really know stories of them, and there may be some ways to work around that as well. But while I was looking into the whole situation, to the whole scenario as to how to get into a big a big university, it was just becoming an issue. My paperwork with a lot of them, it was an issue with me to get my paperwork done because I just couldn't. Plus, at the same time, the fact that I had to be placed into English learning classes in high school rather than just English classes,
Right.
it held me back. So technically, I missed a year in English class, almost as if I had failed it in high school just because I was learning English.
So did you learn English in those classes or some other way?
Through classes, like the special English learning classes,
Oh,
it
shit.
helped me.
So they're pretty productive then.
Yeah, it was pretty productive. It also depends as to how much you want to push yourself to learning the language because
Right.
you may take the classes for years and never learn it. I've met some people there who will move up a level every year, and some people who will stay on the same level for a year or two because they just couldn't learn more. They just couldn't pass after that level.
Right.
Me, on the other hand, I got into ELD 1, and I only stayed there for a week and a half. And they moved me to ELD 2 because apparently I knew too much with the basic words that I knew. That was too much for ELD 1. And so in ELD 2, I stayed there for the whole year, my whole freshman year. And then I got moved up to ELD 3 on the next test. But then they saw that I was a little too advanced for ELD 3 because the teacher from ELD 2 really wanted to teach us a lot of English. And once we covered the needs, the necessaries for ELD 2, she started doing some of the things that we were going to learn on the next level. So when I got to ELD 3, I was too advanced for that class, and they moved me to ELD 4. I stayed there for the first semester of that year, and on the second semester, they moved me to my regular English classes.
Nice.
Yeah, just
Very
about a
cool.
year and a half. I didn't know English as well as I know it now, and I wasn't as well articulated as I am now, but I knew enough to understand and express myself during the regular English classes.
Okay. So going back to the process of coming over here through Coyotes, and a lot of the stuff you hear about this stuff in the media, Coyotes are all fucked up.
Some of them are. I have some stories from my grandma and from my mom as well.
Oh, your mom used different Coyotes?
Yeah, she used different coyotes. Right now, she's here through a different process, but she came to the U.S. a couple of times, and so has my grandma. And just some of the stories that they tell me, some of those coyotes, it's kind of fucked up. My grandma got abandoned at a city. I don't even remember the name, but she got abandoned there by the coyote for almost a month.
Wow.
Yeah, she had to find a work there. She was basically starting to make a life there.
Where was it at?
I don't remember the name of the city.
Oh, was it in Mexico?
Uh, no, I think it was maybe I don't remember exactly, but it was somewhere near the border between Mexico and the U.S. Could have been either in the U.S. or Mexico.
Oh, okay.
But because she wasn't in the city that she wanted to get to, she still needed the help of the coyote getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you hear stories, and it's never stories you hear from people that have traveled and gone through this process. It's always people that clearly don't have a lot of knowledge on it, saying that the cartel kidnap people that are going through the coyotes and they hold them ransom.
It happens.
There's a lot of raping and a lot of that shit. Like to the point where if women are going to cross the border, they're told to take contraceptives steps like Plan B and stuff, just because the likelihood of it happening.
I mean, I don't know any firsthand experience. I never had any firsthand experiences with that, and don't know any person who has gone through that process that knows those stories. But I wouldn't doubt that those stories happen.
But the likelihood is...
It's pretty big. The likelihood is pretty big.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, people are shady. People just are shady. And if you are in shady businesses, like crossing people over the border, then some opportunities might arise. And if you're not a good person, then you may take advantages of those opportunities from people. I mean, I don't think it happens as often as some people may believe or some people may say it.
Right.
But I don't doubt that it happens.
Yeah, it's not the it's not the rule, it's the exception sometimes. Right?
Yeah, it's the exceptions, but the exceptions are the ones that speak the loudest.
Yeah, and those are the ones that they make movies about. They don't make movies about successful migrations. They make movies about the fucked up ones.
Yeah,
that's a story people are wanting to hear, wanting to feel empathy for.
Yeah, people want to see the pain. We are pretty morbid as people.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah.
Dude. Fuck yeah.
We're ridiculously morbid. The more gruesome, the more bloody a story is, the more sad and painful.
Everybody's a Quentin Tarantino fan, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude, and those movies are fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to make the play that I'm directing, My Mañana Comes, very realistic as well. And wanted all of you guys as a cast to really understand the story of these characters. With the two people that are playing the undocumented characters, like they don't understand the story as well as I would have wanted them to, because they never lived it. But I hope that by telling them my stories and by telling them parts of those moments, and just with the knowledge that I have of crossing the border, which again I was very lucky in the way that I did it, I'm hoping that just telling them that and showing them that is enough to have them understand some of the story and portray the characters as good as possible.
Do you feel like you've had success with doing that?
Yes. As far as I've seen with them and how the play is right now, a week from opening, I feel like, yes, there's been success in that. Perhaps not as much as somebody with more experience on the directing aspect of it could have done it, but I do believe that I've seen success. Yeah,
well, you got 5 years of acting underneath your belt.
And none directing, so there's that as well.
Yeah. How is what are some of the biggest things you've learned as being a director, opposed to stuff you would never learn being an actor?
Sometimes it is important to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really important to let them know the harsh truth. The actors, if they're not getting their shit together, it is important to let them know. And sometimes it is important to be mean about it.
Yeah, we had that, what was it, Friday?
Yeah, we had to have that. Again, we're a week from opening, and some actors still didn't fully memorize their lines yet. Some actors were skipping lines, missing cues. And I had to...
That's almost all 4 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, some more than others. And I definitely have a lot to pick up on.
There are some things you could definitely pick up on it. I don't think nothing too major, but at the same time,
we're a week from opening.
Yeah, we're a week from opening. This is the time in which we can't really start exploring things anymore, and we have to simply solidify what we have, because a week from now we're gonna have paying audience there. ready to watch a show, ready to watch the story of immigrants.
We're gonna be solid though, dude.
Oh
5
yeah,
full runs.
I don't doubt it. We're gonna have 4 run-throughs, and basically each one of those run-throughs we're going to have another director giving their opinion as well, a more experienced director.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, John said he's gonna be there tomorrow.
Oh, great. That's gonna be awesome. It's nerve-wracking, exciting but nerve-wracking. I almost don't want to go to work on opening night.
Really?
Yeah, I almost just want to stay there and kind of absorb the whole experience, the whole opening. But like I say, when you're an immigrant, you don't really have many work opportunities. So the good ones that you have, you really want to keep them and really want to do a good job at it.
Do you ever feel a little bit envious of people that have more lucrative job opportunities?
Oh, definitely, yes.
Yeah.
I do. I don't feel like it's in a bad way. I wouldn't want them to lose their jobs just so I could have one.
But you wish you could at least possibly have the opportunity to get the job.
Exactly. Have the opportunity to show that I can also do the job. And maybe if there was an opening for somebody, perhaps have the opportunity to at least compete for that opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's just another loop you got to jump through.
Yeah, it's just life itself is many loops that you got to be jumping through. It doesn't help that I don't have documents and it's just extra loops every time for everything. But at the same time, you get used to it. What are you going to do? Just sit down and cry? Nothing is going to get solved by that.
Nothing gets solved by crying, dude.
Exactly.
I mean, it makes you feel good.
Makes you feel good sometimes.
Laying in bed all day makes you feel good.
Sometimes.
Complaining makes you feel good. But really, none of that shit is helpful for anybody.
Exactly. I mean, it may be, if you are really run down, beat up from working a lot,
sure.
Laying on bed sometimes is good.
Yeah.
Doing nothing sometimes is good.
I do it most weekend mornings. I lay in bed and I wake up around 7 o'clock and I stay in bed. I make sure I stay in bed till 9:30.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
You deserve those extra hours of rest.
I don't know if I deserve them, but I definitely feel like I want them.
Yeah, man, you deserve them. If you like what you told me to do at work, you work your ass off as well.
Sure.
You deserve some hours of rest, some extra hours of rest with your leisure time.
Yeah, well.
And you got to take care of yourself, or else who else is going to?
Who's going to take care of me, man?
Exactly.
Except me. Who's going to take care of you except yourself?
Exactly.
So, with the show opening up on Friday, November 5th, I can't help but feel like at that point you're like handing the torch over to the actors. Do you feel like the work is done at that point?
Kind of at this point. Being a week from opening, I wish it would be that way. It kind of is supposed to be that way.
Sure.
Because there's really not much that you can change, but at the same time, there's still things that we can improve on, and that I'm gonna have to keep my eye on it to keep giving more notes. And hell, there's some directors that still give notes on performing nights.
Hank Webb, which I've had on the podcast, I did a show Escanaba in the Moonlight, and he would give notes at the end of every performance and at closing night.
Nice.
Closing night, he'd give notes.
And it's great. Personally, every time I'm doing a character, I'm in a play, I love receiving notes. I love receiving notes. Every time they tell me how I can do something better or that something needs to be better.
Right.
I as an actor, I love it. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
And I want to be one of the best actors, if not the best actor in the world.
Yeah.
So,
and it's also a pain in the ass when
yeah.
you fucking know. You're like, I'm going to get a note for that. And then you're like, Javier, unfortunately, you missed your cue again, and you sounded iffy. I want your character to have more oomph in his voice at this line. You're like, yeah.
Or like with the last play, Servant of Two Masters, one director was telling me, oh, I want you to be sensitive and very emotional in this scene. And the other one was telling me, no, I want you to be firm and very direct with this scene. Don't get emotional. And I was like, well, which is it? They both just looked at me and say, figure it out. I'm like, what the fuck?
I remember that. That was so funny. I was like, you're going to be angry crying, dude. Just on stage. Oh, man.
Hey, but I still did it, and I did it amazingly.
Yeah, it was a good show, man. Yeah. Servant of Two Masters was a good show. Along with, this is probably like our third show in a row working together. Middletown, Servant, and My Mañana Come.
My Mañana Comes, yeah. This is our third.
Mm-hmm. You got any projects coming up that you want to You thinking about proposing as a director since you have this door open for you?
Well, I've heard about this one play called Mojada
Mm-hmm.
that is also about immigrants, and that is one of my goals since I am given the opportunity to bring opportunity to people. Then I would like to bring opportunities to the immigrant community to bring them
Yeah.
into the theater because there's not much of that community, at least not in Bakersfield.
Right, but how much of the community wants to perform in theater?
That's what I'm about to find out.
Yeah, I mean, just in Mexican Americans, I can count on one hand how many there are here in town that are good.
Yeah, that is also one thing, being
Yeah,
good at it.
yeah. There's plenty of people that like it, but I can count on one hand how many Mexican Americans or just Mexican in general actors are in town there.
But at the
They're
same
worth their
time,
weight.
that could be because every time you go to a play, you rarely see any Mexican Americans.
Yeah, they're very Anglo-Saxon for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to bring in more opportunities and hell, even more opportunities for myself too.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, I'm looking out for myself first as well, and
Right.
I want to bring more opportunities to myself, bring more opportunities to other Hispanic or just immigrant actors. They don't even have to be Hispanics because being an immigrant is not about a nationality; it's about a mentality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's a huge difference there. There's a gap there. Definitely like with my culture and the culture that you come from
Yeah,
as being a Mexican American, third generation or second generation. So there's just gaps there, man, for sure.
yeah,
But I think it's important for a town like Bakersfield or city like Bakersfield to have a director that's making waves with Hispanic plays.
yes.
It's just not there. And then, like with my Mañana Comes, it might open the eyes. You're gonna be on Telemundo, right?
I'm hoping. I don't know what's been going on with that actually.
So for people listening, Ivan was interviewed by Telemundo
Yes.
and about the play, about the director, about him, and they're supposed to show it sometime this week.
Yeah, they were supposed to show it sometime this month, but
Yeah,
they
this
just
month.
kept pushing it back and back. And now every time I call them, they just like, "Oh yeah, we remember the story, so we're gonna give your message to somebody." But then I don't get contact back about it.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe some producer didn't like it that much, or
Yeah.
more important things are going on. Not that
Or
it's not
maybe
important.
I did horrible in the interview, and they're like, "No, fuck this
This
guy."
guy's weird. Dude. He's got a skirt. He's got a snake.
I actually didn't wear the skirt nor the snake today.
Oh, yeah.
I saved the snake for this interview.
For this interview, yeah, your snake in your pocket or what?
Yeah, I got her in my pocket.
Oh, you do? You brought your snake?
I brought her
Which one did you bring?
the
The-
Mexican black
the
king snake.
Grita. Oh,
Look
yeah.
at her.
Beautiful.
And she just shedded her skin too, so if you put her under the light, you can see all her blue reflection.
Damn, she's stunning.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at her belly.
And so she just sits in your pocket?
Yeah, it's a warm pocket.
How old is your snake now?
It's about a year and year and a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
Getting closer to 2 years now. She was born on April 4/20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Have you noticed any like signs of affection with her?
Affection?
Yeah.
Well, just the fact, not necessarily affection, because I don't think they're capable of
Right.
feeling affection. These
I guess
reptiles.
what I'm asking is, have you projected affection onto the snake?
I've definitely projected affection into the snake, and I feel like sometimes she can understand some of my gestures to the point that she knows what I want her to do. She poses for me when I take pictures now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a little hard sometimes, but if I insist a couple of times on having her in a specific position, she'll stay there for a little while because she knows I just want a picture, or I want to think that she knows I just want a picture. And I've definitely noticed signs of trust because the fact that she's so calm with me right now, it means that she trusts me. The fact that she can eat out of my hand without feeling scared, it means that she trusts me. And the fact that when she's on her enclosure after killing her prey, and being just like midway with it, because they don't chew, they swallow it whole. So being midway with it, I can actually grab her, move her around, and she'll stay calm, and then she'll just continue eating like nothing happened. That is a major sign of trust from these animals because they'll usually puke if they feel the slightest threat when they're eating.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I thought for a second? I was like, wow, this fool finally didn't bring his snake along. And you're like, no, it's in my pocket, fool.
She's always with me. Anything that has to do with theater now, she's just been with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cool snake, man.
It is. I love her. I'm trying to bring more awareness to both immigrants and reptiles.
Immigrants and snakes, dude.
Immigrants and snakes.
The classically untrustworthy bunch. That's cool. So, yeah, dude, I think this will be a good opportunity to bring Hispanic theater, like the style of Hispanic performing, which is obviously the women have to be beautiful.
They are.
Yeah, the acting has to be subpar.
The actors have to be chaparros.
They have to be chaparros, dude.
Very short.
Alligator fucking leather boots, dog.
Speak with an accent thicker than mine.
Speak with an accent thicker than Nutella, dog. Yeah, that's cool, man. I really do appreciate you coming on and talking about some of the things that you've experienced.
I really appreciate you wanting to listen about those things.
Sure. Yeah, I thought you definitely have an interesting perspective on this whole journey that it's life. You know, everybody's got a different one. And I think the whole point of this podcast is to listen to people with different perspectives.
Well, and perspective is one of the most trickiest things that you can have.
That's why there's so many of them.
Yeah, so many of them, and you're just a slave of your own perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can be so focused on one little detail, one small thing, that you become incapable of looking at the bigger aspect of it. And to me, the biggest aspect of life is basically that nothing really matters.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that you're going to do that will effectively change the world or change the universe.
Yeah, I remember contemplating the concept of the word permanent.
Yeah,
And how it really doesn't. It's not a real word in terms of its relation to its definition. It doesn't exist. The word permanent doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nothing is forever.
Nothing.
Not even eternity.
Not even the word permanent, though.
Exactly.
That's just it, dude.
Not even the infinite is infinite because it keeps getting bigger.
Sure, and then when they theorize that one day it's gonna shrink, but then you know what, man, we base all that on today's understanding of science.
Yeah, and even then, even if it was true that it will shrink at one point,
Mm-hmm.
will it even matter? Is humanity even going to be a thing at that point?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I've kind of been running the idea through my head about the idea of people say we're the only intelligent life. I'm starting to think maybe we're just the first one.
We could be, or we could be an in between.
Yeah, dude.
There could have been another intelligent.
There's gay dolphins, bro.
Gay dolphins, bro.
Gay dolphins,
They
dog.
that's why they went into the sea, because it was easier for them.
Yeah, because all the Catholics over here. Dolphins are just gay people that just like morphed into like a different species.
They love swimming so much.
Millions of years. Even the way dolphins sound, dude, is gay.
Right? Just with the little flippers and always happy.
Fucking flippers, dude. What a bunch of sissies.
Shooting out of their holes.
Blowjob, dog. Don't fuck around. Yeah, but it's funny, man. It's just, it's everybody. It's interesting that sometimes you meet people, and the thoughts, the depth of their thought process, they don't really go too deep. And of course, my contemplation and my articulation are different levels. I contemplate at a higher level, but I just got a fat tongue and a lazy mouth.
Yeah.
And so I definitely have to stumble constantly when I speak. And it's interesting when you meet people who also have similar journeys in terms of their thought process and the philosophy that they've kind of delved into. There's a sea, and when I meet people a lot older than me, and then you can see the journey that they're like, yeah, man, I've been there before, man. I've definitely had that thought, dude. Yeah, for sure, man. For sure this, for sure that. And I used to have this thing where I believed that I knew I had the answers. Me personally, I was like, this all makes sense. Nothing exists. We're just part of the animal kingdom. The planet's the planet is the true God, because there's nothing above our relationship with the planet and the planet itself. The planet gives birth to everything. The planet Earth is the creation of all. And if you look at the definition of God, it's like that's the one thing that's feasible, that's right in front of us, that fits that definition.
And I would even go as far as to say that it could even be the sun rather than the earth.
Sure.
Because without the sun, the earth wouldn't be able to bring life.
The sun is the earth's God.
Yeah. Maybe the sun is the earth is our God, and the sun is the earth's God.
Yeah, and I remember having these thoughts, and then I was like telling them to this old timer, thinking I'm gonna blow this old timer's mind. It just was my super in-depth thought process, and he was just like, "Yeah, dude, I for sure had that thought too." When I was 6, and I was like, "Fuck." I was like, "Fuck."
How old were you at this point?
I don't know, 21. I was like, I'm fucking dumb, dude. I'm not gonna talk to anybody ever again about any of this shit, man. Yeah.
Man, but that's the worst thing that you can do, because by not talking is how you stay in the ignorance.
Right, and if you wouldn't have told me that, I would be still walking around believing that I was this superior intellectual that had surpassed my peers, but really.
And why do you think that was? Do you think that had to do mostly with your age or with the fact that you're a performer?
The guy I spoke to wasn't a performer.
No, but by you believing that you had all the answers and that you were
ego.
The ego.
The same ego that helps me perform.
Okay.
And it's like you get in your head, and you compare yourself to your peers, and you lack in certain things, and you like to think you're superior in other things. Because you want to think, oh, he might be this and that, but I'm this and this and this. But really, it's just, it doesn't matter.
And it doesn't help when you have a weird way of perspective, a weird perspective, or mainly a lot of the traumas from childhood make you super aware of some things, and you just overcorrect, or you just overreact to some things, or basically you kind of try to think ahead, and you're able to think ahead a little bit because of the way that you grew up, always having to think ahead. And some people don't, because they didn't have to grow up in such a messed up way.
So I would agree to a certain extent. When I was a kid, of course I was a fucking little crazy kid, but my parents took me to a psychologist because I was a crazy kid. They couldn't figure me out, and they gave me a bunch of IQ tests. And so since I was a kid, I was told I was gifted. Okay. Extremely gifted, whatever. And so that also got in my head. I was like, oh, I'm gifted.
They gave you God complex.
Yeah. And, of course, as I got older, I realized, sure, I'm smarter than 98% of the people, but you're going to meet 10,000 people in your life. So you're going to meet several hundreds of, maybe 1,000 people that are smarter than you. Yeah. Just in your normal day life. Yeah. And so, it definitely created a complex in me, but I'm a little grateful for it, because I am the man I am today because of it. But going back to, I think it's just I want to make the connection between trauma and higher planes of thinking, or like cognitive thought, right? Or maybe cognitive thought's not the right word, but like deep thought. Yeah. But I don't know. I think and you know what? I haven't really spoken to anybody in my circle. I don't really speak to a lot of people that don't have trauma, because it's so hard to find people that don't have trauma. Yeah. And so I think it's just an innate ability or a byproduct of being smart. When you're smarter than people, or not, I need to stop saying that. When you are capable of delving deep in thought, I think it's something that just comes innately with birth.
And sometimes it's not so much the fact that you were capable of doing so, but that you were forced to do so as a kid. Say, for example, I basically had to always try to read my father's mind. Always try to understand what was in his mind without him saying anything. And this thing that my mother also has, that if she's mad at you, she will just give you a look, rather than say that she's upset. Right. Or rather than giving you a warning, she will just give you a look. So the fact that as a kid,
I know exactly what you're fucking talking about.
Yeah, and they call it giving you the highlights. It's just like, I'm like, fucking stop without saying anything. Basically, they're telling you either you stop or I'm going to beat the shit out of you when we get home without saying a single word.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just a Latina thing. I remember my mom used to come home from work and she would just open the door and walk in and give me the nastiest look. And that was it. That was the communication for the day with my mom. And then she'd close the door and she'd just like, just a scowl like, you disgusting little, you motherfucker. And she'd close the door and go to her room or whatever. I was like, all right, well, don't talk to mom today.
Yeah. And the fact that if everybody in the house has to be working together just to keep one person happy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's also what kind of forces you to have a lot of more, to think ahead or to think deeper into many things, because you have to, you can't just think, oh, I want to do this. You have to think, I want to do this, but how is that going to affect this other person that has full control over my life and that will definitely kick my ass if I don't do it right. And so basically just growing up that way, you're forced to think that way your whole life. And when you grow up, it's hard to snap out of it. And if you naturally have a smarter mind, if you tend to be slightly smarter than people,
higher IQ,
higher IQ, then just doing that is just like a bunch of training. It's like going to the gym every day, and that just forces you to keep thinking ahead. But if you don't learn how to control it when you're an adult, it will just completely fuck you up as you get older.
Yeah, I that's something I've believed for a while now, is that being smart is more, unless you can control it, is a huge hindrance.
Yeah, it hinders a lot, and especially if you don't have the tools to use it, because you may become smart enough to understand that you have potential and smart enough to understand what's wrong with you, but if you don't have the tools to work with it or to bring your intelligence to its true potential or to do something with it, then it basically becomes a curse, because you're only smart enough to understand how messed up you are or how messed up things are or how wrong something is, but you don't have any tools to fix it. Or you're only smart enough to understand that you have potential, but because you've never had any opportunities, you just never used it, so it brings you depression.
Well, intelligence is one of those things that a person who is smart is just smart.
Yes.
And so whether they're driven in any direction, it's an intelligent person, and you know when you talk to them, or you see them how they carry themselves, or how they act, or how quick they pick up on things. And obviously, learning English for you, that was attributed, has a lot to do with your intelligence and how smart you are. But
thank you.
When you meet people, and I don't mean to sound like an ableist, but when you meet people that are clearly not mentally disabled, but they're right above it. You know what I'm saying? And they're the happiest motherfuckers you'll ever meet in your life.
Oh yes.
They've achieved they've not achieved, but they're gifted with a pure bliss, a peace at life that you and I, or people that are smarter than us, or maybe whatever, people that are smart will suffer with. They will never get that bliss. They'll never get that peace unless they're enthralled in work here, or thrown themselves into this, or family, or whatever. But that's something that it's for the select few. That's their gift, I think.
But at the same time, this is some new perspective that I've been trying to work on as well. If you are smart, but you are not smart enough to start making choices in your life that will bring you happiness, then are you truly that smart?
Yeah. I think so. Intelligence is just like, I think your functionality of your brain. I think it's just the things your brains are capable of, physically. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just have the right neurons, the right connections. Things in there are just it's built better in here than other people's brain is built. Yeah. And so whether you're not doing anything with it, it's still there. So if you meet a homeless guy off the street, and you play chess with him, he's never played chess before, but if you played chess for years, and he's intelligent, and he's very smart, there's a good chance he might beat you, just because he's capable. He's got a better built brain, and he's able to play the board and see things and understand things better than you. You picked it up better in 10 minutes of playing than you have. Some people have in 10, 15 years.
Yeah, and it happens with everything, not just with intelligence. It happens with any physical attributes as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, I haven't put a lot of thought into it. I've kind of been working on it. I think I don't know. With the physicality, the physical part of hand-eye coordination and the separation there, is there misfiring in the brain? Is there something that you work on, like you build like a muscle, or is because you meet people that are smart, they're intelligent, they're brilliant people, but their hand-eye coordination is dog shit, like the nerd, right? Like the comical nerd. But is that because they never worked on their hand-eye coordination? They never needed to because they focused on other things. Like, let's say they never really threw the ball around with their dad in the yard as a kid, or played soccer, or lifted weights. So that part of their physicalness never really grew, and they never really had confidence with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But when you talk about intelligence, it's a little tricky because there's different levels of intelligence, and you can be smart on something but be completely stupid on something else, even if they're somewhat closely related.
How so?
Say, for example, you can be a genius in math. You know, you can just be one of the fastest mathematicians in the world, but you can be completely dog shit in biology.
Sure.
Or you can be really, really smart with science and scientific stuff, but you could be completely disconnected from your emotional intelligence and not have any capability of feeling any emotional connection or feeling empathy for people.
I think a lot of that comes with experience.
It comes with experience, but there's some people who are simply incapable of connecting with somebody emotionally.
Right. What I mean by experience, I don't mean like you're building your experience on this. I mean like the experiences that you've acquired throughout your life affect your decision and the things you like. And I do also think there's a biological thing there, where there's some stuff that gets genetically passed down, that you're more connected with certain subjects for sure. Like I'm dyslexic with English, but not with math.
Well,
my math is fine, but my English, if I look at Bakersfield, for my whole life, the I and the E in field, I can never tell which one goes first.
Really?
My whole life, I'll spell it wrong too. I try to memorize it time and time again, and now I just look at the shape of the word and the flow, like kind of like with noise and how it has shape and stuff, audio.
Yeah.
I just got to go on shape because I can't get the physical letters together. My dyslexia is that bad. It's so.
And is it only when you're reading, or is it also when you're writing?
So my handwriting is dog shit, and a lot of it has to do with if I scribble, I can learn how to read my scribbling. I don't need to focus on the spelling, because if I sit there and I focus on spelling, my mind works so fast. I already forgotten what I was supposed to write.
Yes.
Because I'm already on the next 3 sentences later. Well, I'm still trying to figure out how the fuck you spell tomorrow.
Well, I mean, yeah, you think much faster than you speak and way faster than you write.
Fucking way fast. And my with the ADHD is I'm not focusing on the sentence anymore.
Yeah.
And so I'm already fucking a paragraph away, or I'm not even thinking about writing anymore. I'm thinking about fucking something stupid in my head.
Because you were too focused on...
I'm trying to figure out how to spell tomorrow.
Yeah.
And based on the way it looks, you're like, tomorrow. Fuck, it all looks
and
like
then
shit.
your brain starts making a different connection with the word tomorrow because it's said it so many times. What do I gotta do
tomorrow? And then, I gotta do this. I gotta paint this. And like, I should go stop at Michael's and pick up this paint for whatever canvas I'm working on. And the next thing you know, I'm thinking about how paint's manufactured in India. In just like 10 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
and
I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you, but whenever you say a word too many times, your brain assumes that it just sounds weird, right? After saying it like 10 times, your brain, every time you say the word, it's trying to give you the connection to that word. Like, for example, if you say dog, if you say it many times, every time you say it, your brain is going to give you the connection that it's already made about dog. But after a couple of times, say there's not a specific number, but when it starts sounding strange, it's because your brain kind of understands that you're not looking for that connection, and you're trying to look at the word in an abstract way and make a different connection, and that's why it starts sounding weird, because it's not what you are used to knowing for the word dog.
No, that's interesting. I never really thought about it that way. Yeah, that makes sense.
The brain is a pattern making machine.
Yeah, the word dog, bro, it's weird.
Yeah, like if you say dog 20 times, it's not going to be dog. Your brain is going to start thinking, what about dog?
Right.
Yeah, is there something a dog is doing? Is there something that they eat? Is there something... Do you mean a different animal that now your saying dog is a different type of dog. It's a spatial dog.
Right.
Yeah,
Halloween fireworks, man. Did I pick it up? Maybe.
probably.
So, yeah, with as a human, my relationship with my brain is complicated. As your relationship with your brain is complicated.
Relationships themselves are hella complicated.
Well, just like the concept of your relationship with your own brain, you know, the separation between your mind and your brain, and how they're different in two ways. They're different in that they speak to each other, because there's a separation there. Because you know when you can't figure something out.
Yeah.
And you can see how quick other people figure it out, and you know, like, oh, there's a separation there that I want to figure this out, but I can't. So there's that, and then there's a separation where you can consciously, you can tell when you could have been able to figure it out, like you hung over, you haven't really worked on math in a while, and you're like trying to figure out what 9 times 12 is, and you knew the answer, like that when you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
Because you did multiplications, you knew the answer. So there's, I think that's speaks validity to the fact that they're separate, but they're in the same room.
Kind of.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that also has to do with the fact that the brain is a muscle, and if you don't exercise your muscles, you lose them.
Right, but I'm saying that your mind knew the answer at one point.
Oh yeah.
So it's saying that it's pulling itself outside of your brain, and it's observing. Your mind is observing your brain at that point.
Yeah.
So I'm saying they're in the same room. They're in your skull, but they're two different beings, two different structures.
Man, the brain is complicated.
Relationships are complicated.
Relationships are complicated.
Everything's complicated, man. Well, we give complication to everything, right? Just by thinking about them.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you were saying about the mind and the brain, the fact that the brain has the ability to look at itself outside of itself, it's weird. It's strange.
I remember thinking about, like, I saw it in a meme. It was like, the brain is like the only thing in the whole world to ever name itself.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's silly. I like that. But it's the brain and the mind. It's the separate things. Yeah.
I mean, you want to think about it even crazier. The universe was actually the first thing to name itself.
Well, no. Who was here to observe it and give it a name?
Itself.
We gave it the term universe.
But what are we?
We're the universe.
Exactly.
Right.
With the universe talking about the universe within itself.
Sure, but we didn't come up with the term universe first, Doug. We're a mind inside the universe, and we named ourselves universe. I guess if you gave yourself a name opposed to, like, your group giving yourself, even though the group was there first, you give it names. You give the individuals individuality or persona with name, and then came. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, for sure. I guess I'm just doing that thing again where I'm analyzing it competitively.
Yeah, I guess. I must analyze it better than you.
I must analyze it way better than you, dog. I gotta be the smartest one in the room. The smartest one in the room is the snake, dude, because he's not even
right. She's just chilling there. She's just living life.
Fuck about what we have to say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's just like, I'm just gonna chill and get my food once a week, get my water.
Dog. Sheds once a month.
I poop and you gotta clean it,
bitch.
Right?
You think you own the snake, but really you're the snake's bitch.
Yes. I mean, there's a reason I named them after gods, because I have to serve them. What was that?
What are your snake's names?
This one, the black one, is Coatlicue.
Coatlicue, so the Aztec god
of motherhood.
Okay.
And the patron of childbirth.
Okay.
Basically, every time an Aztec woman will be pregnant, they will pray to Coatlicue. And if at any given point during the pregnancy or the birth giving, either the child or the mother or both were to die, it was believed that the goddess herself will come down from the heavens and take them to paradise.
So you got a lot of native in you.
Yes.
For sure, dude. Like at least 65% of you is native.
I mean, yeah, it's...
I would say, like, for me, I probably got like 15 left.
I can see that.
Yeah. Well, my last name, Elizondo, is Basque.
Is what?
It's Basque.
Basque?
Yeah, it's a people in Spain.
Oh.
It's like a sheep herding people in Spain, between Spain and French.
No, damn.
My grandpa's got, like, blue eyes, dude.
Damn, so that's my grandma, bro.
Yeah, dude, I got I got a lot of Spanish in me.
There was definitely a lot of rape within that lineage.
Fuck. And inbreeding too, dog. Don't forget that.
Fuck.
Yeah, there's a lot of inbreeding.
Don't forget about the inbreeding, the incest.
Inbreeding, dude.
What we force dogs to do, basically.
Yeah, dude. My family were pugs, bro. You look at my mom's side, it's a bunch of pugs.
Man, I feel bad about pugs, honestly.
Yeah, dude.
We should really eradicate that species.
Well, it's a breed.
That breed.
There's a guy in Newfoundland that's breeding them back to their better form. So you're giving them back their snout. So they're breeding out the bad stuff. And
please, let's bring back the pug snout.
Pugs are pathetic, dude.
Let's allow them to breathe, bro.
Yeah, dude.
They can't even inhale. The people always think they're so happy. It's like, no, he's suffocating, bro.
Do they breathe like people from Nebraska? Just I'm just kidding. I never met nobody from Nebraska. Well, we're at an hour and 15 minutes, man.
Really?
Yeah, how did that feel?
Hey, it didn't feel like an hour and 15 minutes.
I always love asking that question. Because people are just like, oh, so where were we at? We're like, we're at 2 hours. Like, what the fuck? 2 hours, bro? That felt like 15 minutes, right?
Well, I mean, conversations with you just flow very easily as well.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, I definitely think that's one of my attributes is that I'm good at conversation. Well, I've worked at it. I worked at it a lot.
It's one of your skills, then.
Yeah.
That's one thing, though. I've never really liked it when people compliment my quote-unquote talents, because a talent is something that you're born with, something that you don't work on to be that good.
Right.
But a skill is something that you've been developing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as an actor or just as a performer, every time somebody compliments my talent on acting, it's like, no, don't get it wrong. This is a skill. This is the skill that I spent many, many hours trying to perfectionate and refine.
Yeah, I think for me, it's definitely a talent. And it's my skills, I've gotten better at it. But I got recognition right away from it. But the whole accepting compliments thing is fucking rough.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but an old timer told me, he goes, all you got to do is just say thank you.
Exactly.
Just say, oh, thank you very much for noticing. That's it. Don't be like, oh, no, I suck. They don't want to.
And you can't say that, because if you start telling people that you suck, then they will eventually believe it.
Well, not only that, it's they don't want to hear about your low self-esteem.
Yeah, they don't want to go to your self-pity patty.
Yeah, they're just giving you, hey, dude, good job.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you. That's it.
It's a nice compliment. Just say thank you.
They're like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm just giving you a compliment. I don't need to hear about it.
Nothing worse than going to somebody and be like, hey, you did a good job. Oh, no, realistically, I fucking suck at this because throughout my whole life, I've been doing this, and that. And it's like, man.
I remember one time I had stand up a couple years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, before I got into theater, I used to do stand up.
Oh, nice.
I did it like 3 or 4 times a week for about 2 months. And I remember one time, I was getting to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm comfortable on stage, and I'm a fairly funny guy, so I can just make stuff up while I'm on stage, and it did well sometimes.
Yeah.
Of course, you'd see other. Of course, I was at that point where I was like, "Oh, I can kill," but then you'd actually see someone that's an opener or a middler, and that's been doing it for years, and you're like, "Oh."
Someone who actually kills on stage, and you're like, "Oh, no."
I suck dicks.
Yeah.
I thought me sucking dicks was good, but I fucking suck.
Yeah, I totally understand that feeling.
And so it was after one of the shows at the Rocket Shop Cafe on Union, and I had did it was open mic stuff, so I had did an okay job. It was some material that I tried out, and one of the other comics that had just started the same week I did, he goes, "Hey, dude, good job, bro. You fucking killed it, man." And I was like, "Oh, dude, I fucking suck, dude. That was dog shit." And he goes, "Dude, shut the fuck up." It's like, what? And I was to be honest with you, I was super high because I don't really like smoking that much, but I'm hanging out with the comics, right? Yeah. So I'm like, every time they hand me something, I'm gonna take a drag.
Of course,
because I'm trying to fit in.
Exactly.
And I was just high as the moon, bro. And he's like, "Shut the fuck up, bro," because I would say that every time he'd compliment me, and I was just like, "Oh, okay." He's just being polite. He doesn't want to hear about how I feel about myself.
Yeah.
And genuinely, like when you compliment people, and unless it's your friend and you've known him for years, and like, hey, dude, you did a good job. You can go like, all right, maybe I did. Or you can be like, oh, well, I fucked this up. And he goes, well, yeah, I didn't pick that up though. You know, I didn't see that fuck up. But yeah, for sure.
Like that's also one of the things that I've learned with other directors when I'm in a play. They when they compliment you in a celebration, they just want to compliment you.
Yeah, well, if I get complimented by a director, I know not to question it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to. Oh, director, you don't know what you're talking about.
That's fucking rude.
Stupid. Yeah, you're gonna get laughed out of the fucking.
If not kicked out of the play.
Yeah. But director says, "Hey, great job on this." You go, "Thank you."
Yeah.
You go, "No, I didn't like it." You go, "Get the fuck out of here! I'm gonna just write the character out of this script because you're so fucking dumb."
But for example, in the last play when we were in Servant of Two Masters, Hank. I asked him what did he think I could do better, and he just started complimenting me. He's like, "Oh no, you're amazing. You're doing great." It's like, listen, I know that. I'm not asking you to tell me how good I am. How can I do better?
Right. They're like, I know I'm fucking great.
Yeah, I know I'm amazing. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't amazing.
Yeah. Humble, bro. You're
right?
One of the most humble people I know. Man.
Well, I think it's time for me to not be as humble as I used to be about those things, because sometimes being so humble makes you come out as insecure.
Right, but it's also distasteful to be too confident.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Too vocal about how good you think you are.
Yeah, that's why I only do it when people are complimenting me, because they're already saying that I'm good. So it's like, of course.
Well, it's funny.
Yeah.
And it's only because it's funny because people are like, oh, he's joking. And
yeah.
if you're like, yeah, I fucking know I'm great. Be like, okay, I'm never.
Like if I actually knew I was so great, I would not be asking people how can I do better at it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude, you're definitely a funny guy in that way.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, my Mañana Comes, man. I'm excited for it.
So am I. How do you feel, actually? Let me ask you, as one of the actors, and right now, you're not talking to the director. You're talking to just Ivan. How do you feel about the play? How do you feel about the process and the characters, your character and everybody else's character?
A couple things. As an actor, I definitely had more, not ambition, but more excitement for the play at the beginning than I do now. Because obviously,
yeah, it gets old. Right? You do it so often.
Of course, and then once you're in Tech Week, it flips over. Now you start to get excited. I like the play. I like the scripts. I like the casting. But to be honest with you,
you hate the director. I knew it.
No, I not hated, but like when we first started, it was just like it was easy for me to nitpick everything you did. So I was just like, because as like we're pals.
Yeah,
we hung out more since. But it was just like, all right, dude, let's see what this fucking guy's got.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you're a new director. People are asking me my opinion, because they trusted my opinion about you, and so then that meant like, all right, so I got to pay attention because people are asking me how I feel about you as a director, because I've worked with directors in town, and so the people are like, oh, how's Ivan this? How's Ivan that? And I had to be, I couldn't answer them at first, so I'd be like, okay, I got to pay attention to this stuff.
Fair enough, yeah.
And so, of course, at first it was like, he's doing a lot of things that he sees John doing. And he's like, okay. And then, like, a lot of it, some of it doesn't fit. And then you stop doing the stuff that didn't fit.
Yeah.
And so that was cool. You're adapting. You're like, okay. You're not forcing stuff that just doesn't fit with the... If we're doing the Servant of Two Masters, which is contemporary... what's the term? Contemporary...
Comedy?
Dell'arte.
Commedia dell'arte.
It's a contemporary take on Commedia dell'arte.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of like interpretation with the characters and being abstract with the actings and pulling different hats out of different things. But with this play, it's a blue collar fucking play.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of abstract shit.
There's not, I don't think there's any abstract.
Shit. There's no like fucking weirdness about it. It's a straightforward blue collar fucking dude's play.
And it is quite straightforward.
It is fucking straightforward.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of underlying things. What needs to be said in the play is said by a character.
Yeah.
In a situational thing. And so, with that being said, I feel like without having to be told, you figured out that We don't need to be fucking doing a lot of that abstract shit. But the character analysis stuff was good.
Yeah, I really like the character analysis too.
Yeah, and I did feel like you were afraid of being mean.
It didn't feel like I was afraid of it.
Yeah, I feel like you were.
Okay.
Because I feel like you were just like, come on, guys, let's get it together. And I was wanting for you to go, hey, shut the fuck up. Come on, let's go. Hey, you need to be off script, dude. If you can't be off script, I'm going to find somebody else. I'm sorry. I like you as an actor, but if you can't be off script and you're drinking during rehearsals and you're fucking around, either you do what's necessary and be a little more professional about it, or you will fill your role with somebody else.
Yeah, that is true, because at the end of the day, what matters is the art.
Mm-hmm.
The show has to continue, and it's going to continue. It will be plays on November 5th. We will have a show. Who are going to be the actors?
Whether if you're prepared or not.
Yeah.
The fucking show is going to be there.
Exactly. Whether you suck on stage and forget your lines and just get stuck on it or not, or you actually know your lines perfectly and your cues on point and never miss them, the show is going to continue.
Right.
Whether you suck or are good at it, it's going to continue.
And also another thing that kind of happened in my own head was seeing the way you did things and not liking them, and then being like, well, I would have did this, I would have did that, and then I started thinking about hearing other people say that about shows they're in and feeling grossed out. And of course, I didn't vocalize this anyway. This is like dialogue that's going on in my own head, and then realizing that I'm just the actor, and this is your vision as the director, and then I would question things. I caught myself questioning things, and I knew I shouldn't be doing it. Like, I'd be like, well, what about this?
But why not, though?
Right, but it's a respect thing. Because when I'm questioning you, I'm questioning the vision. And your vision is your vision. You have put more work and in depth in the way you view the play than I have as just an actor and a character. As a director, you see perspectives through all the actors and the director and the producer and as the audience. For me, I just see the show as a Waleed, the character, and as an actor and as the audience.
Yeah, and also is something that may affect with that is the fact that as an actor you kind of only see the scenes that you're on.
Sure.
And even if you watch the rehearsal process and you watch the other scenes, realistically, you only are fully there paying attention and exploring and analyzing the ones that you're on because you want to be the best character you can be.
Sure. I would even argue that it's the opposite.
Really?
I feel like when I'm in the scene, I can't analyze the scene. It's a natural thing that happens. You understand your character, and everything that happens is kind of natural. It behaves the way it's going to behave, and then as you're sitting down and watching other scenes that you're not in, you're able to analyze them because you're outside of them. It's hard. It's fucking hard for me to analyze a scene if I'm in it, outside of Waleed or outside of my character's perspective, because I see everything through my character's eyes. Well,
then maybe that could be a good exercise for you to work on and improve the skill with.
Sure.
Make the talent even a bigger weapon that you can use by tuning some parts of the skill.
Yeah, but as a character, especially as Waleed, I don't want to see things through the other character's perspective.
Fair enough.
As I'm on stage, because my character wouldn't do that unless my character has done it, and it says it overtly in the lines, but you can tell the character has taken other people's things into consideration, like Pantalone did. Pantalone took other people's things into consideration, while he does not. While he does not take other people's things into consideration.
He just wants his own thing.
While he's center of the world.
Yeah.
Center of the universe. So I feel like, of course it's character to character basis, but for this play, it wouldn't make too much sense for my character to do that. I don't know. I'm just thinking. Yeah, but I remember thinking like, man, I was doing this. I would do something different. And then I'd question you on it, and then you'd be like, yeah, well, what about this? I was like, oh, I need to shut the fuck up.
No, but here's the thing. I don't think it's bad that you question my vision. I think it's actually quite good to have somebody question your visions, because if all you have is people telling you yes, yes, yes to everything, then you'll never know when you're doing something wrong.
Sure, but maybe I come from a background of, like, the concept or, like, how important respect is.
Oh,
because it's like... More in rehearsals, I still see you as a peer instead of the fucking director. You know what I'm saying? And that was something I was like, I gotta stop that. because you're the director. You're in charge. This is you got way more stake in it than I do as an actor. And so that's that bit of like, okay, I gotta stop seeing him as my peer. And when rehearsal starts to finish, from start to finish, he's not my peer. He's my director.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I mean you have to, or else it's gonna be a whole bunch of. What about this? Hey, how about I don't like that. What if we did this? And of course, there's a little bit of shit talking there because that's just how I am.
Yeah.
And it's maybe I need to stop doing that too. But there's got to be more respect from my end for the director.
And that is true. You should always have respect for the person who is in charge because he's the one putting the neck on the line, basically. Yeah. But I also believe that, or at least with me, I appreciated most of the times that you and any other actor questioned the vision that I had asked for. For example, at one point I wanted to make two of the characters bisexual, right?
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't have worked now thinking about it with much more time, but at the moment it just seemed like something kind of fun to play with, the idea of two characters being bisexual, and that topic just never been addressed in the play. And never even been mentioned, not even been a slight topic on the play, because I kind of dislike when some shows or movies or plays just focus on one point for the sake of focusing on one point. You know, like in an action movie that they have a romantic interest out of nowhere for no reason. That doesn't play anything on the story. It's right. Like, man, screw that. Or that a gay character main quality is that they're gay. It's like, no, the gay people are just people. It's just don't make that being their personality trait, because it's kind of lame. It's boring and it's insulting.
It's dumb. Yeah, like
it's
when an
insulting
Asian
more than
character's
anything.
main characteristic is that they're Asian. You're just like, I mean, sure, but like, it just seems like lazy.
Yeah.
Lazy writing, bro. Lazy
yeah, it's like if they want to have somebody in a movie sometimes that they're super smart at math. It's an Asian person. It's like, well, that's a stereotype, and it's a bad stereotype.
The Asian person has to be good at math. Right?
Yeah, it's a bad stereotype because it puts so much pressure on any Asian person who are not as good as math.
Right, and I for sure think that we're kind of getting away from that.
Which is good,
nowadays.
yes.
Yeah, for sure. I saw a movie yesterday that I knew that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you'd never see. It was called His House. And it was about Somalian refugees coming to England, him and his wife, and the house is haunted by the spirit that followed them there, that they acquired through their journey. It's like it's a witch that's followed him because he's cursed because something that they did while trying to go through the boats or whatever. Something that they did was fucked up to survive.
Okay.
And the witches followed him to England, to London.
Just because she wanted to follow him, or because he actually did something bad to call the spirit upon?
He did something bad to call the spirit.
Okay.
And the movie subtly brings it up throughout the movie, right? And so it's like he's hinting, and they're like, "We're a happy couple. We're happy. I was a banker. I was something successful. This and that. We had to run away." And then his wife, there's a scene where she's talking about her scars, and she says she has like little scars on her face, and she's like, "I've had these since I was a girl, since before I can remember." And then she points at the scars on her arm. She says, "Where'd you get these?" She goes, "I gave these to myself.
Oh.
After I found my family butchered to death."
Holy shit.
And these are the symbols of the two tribes where I grew up. They slaughter each other. And this is the symbol for one tribe that's on her face, and this is the symbol for the other tribe. And it's like symbolic. It's saying that she never felt like she ever belonged anywhere. And this is her trying to survive by having both symbols of both tribes. That way she can keep from getting slaughtered, massacred. And so and it's like, and then they move to England, and then this house is haunted by the witch spirit that they've acquired through their journey. And so it's like, it's beautiful. Damn. And you'll never see a movie about Somalian refugees in England. No. Of course, it's a horror movie, but it's also paying respects to their culture.
Yeah.
By saying it's not like some English fucking, "Hello, governor, I'm here to haunt your house." No, it's like a fucking witch, and it's a beautifully made movie. I fucking love movies, and it's a beautifully well made movie.
What is that movie's name?
His House.
His House?
It's on Netflix.
Nice. I'm definitely gotta watch it.
Nothing about it. I saw no fat in the movie. I saw no access editing. It was beautifully shot, beautifully well made. I highly recommend it. Especially today's Halloween.
Would you say it has your stamp of approval?
Fuck yeah.
All right, we're gonna put the stamp to the test.
It's got the Javi stamp of approval. 2 thumbs up.
All right, we're gonna see how well the stamp goes.
Heck yeah, dude. You got 8 knuckles face each other, 2 up to the sky. Dog. 2 thumbs up. Yeah. Yeah, but for sure, we're definitely moving away from the stereotypical kind of. And I don't like the idea of there being more Asians in movies and stuff like that, because like comedians like Bobby Lee and all that stuff, that they've helped open a door and made it more mainstream to have just like American Asians in movies, and same with Hispanics.
Definitely.
Of course, George Lopez didn't help too much, but he was super relatable. So relatable, right?
I wouldn't know.
You never watched George Lopez?
Never watched George Lopez.
Oh, yeah.
It was more of an American thing.
Was it?
Yeah. We never even heard that being mentioned in Mexico. Or at least not where I grew up.
Was there any TV shows here in the States that you felt more connected to?
Just TV shows or cartoons.
What about cartoons? Yeah.
Well, basically the same cartoons that I grew up with
Speedy
watching in
Gonzales,
Mexico. The what's the Looney Tunes?
Okay.
That was just worldwide. It was very well known in Mexico.
Looney Tunes is the shit.
Family Guy, American Dad, South Park. Those things just made it so big that they crossed the border, like me.
Uh-huh.
And so, and
Hola, yo soy Bugs Bunny. No, yo soy el Duffy Duck.
it was more like a ¿Qué de nuevo, viejo? It was some really nice cartoons, and just being able to watch those things here make me have some sense of comfort.
That connectivity.
Yeah.
Between that world and this one.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because even now with some friends, they'll make references to shows that are really big in America, but they don't know that they're only big in America, and that even though Mexico is right down the border, it's still the show never made it down there.
Right, and it's funny how huge a novela would be in Mexico.
Oh yeah,
Everybody's seen this novela.
Yes.
Everybody. It's so big it's on fucking Netflix on the English channel. So they dubbed it English, and nobody watches that shit, dude. Nobody's watching Mexican novelas, dog.
except for the Mexican people
Except
who
for
come
the
here.
Mexicans. And then, like, I remember growing up as a kid and going to my grandparents' house and they're watching novelas. And it was so fucking boring, dude. So boring.
They're so dramatic.
So dramatic. Ya se me ató la vista. Por favor, ¿qué estás haciendo? It's just like, whoa, dude. They're like looking for a can of beans.
And then like
flipping
3
out.
minutes of silence stands just with camera switches from one people looking at the other.
And the chick, dude, she's got to be the most stunning fucking broad on the
definitely.
planet. Fuck, dude.
It's got to be the most beautiful.
I remember it was before I got into theater. I was talking to my tío, and he was watching novela, and I was staying at his place for like a couple weeks working on his yard. My uncle was fairly successful, and the novela, it was one chick played triplets. They got separated. One was like a good one was like an evil one was like the mischievous one.
Oh my god, I think
I know you've seen it. It was a huge one. It came out like 3 years ago, 4 years. No, it came out like 5 years ago, maybe. And it was played by the same broad. And he goes, "That's talent right there, acting." And I remember watching it, and it was like 3 stereotypical characters. It's just like, I'm a good saint, and it's like, yo soy un cabrona, you know. And then the next one was just like, whatever, you know. She's like, that's the most talented actor in the world. She's able to play 3 different characters in a show, and we're thinking like, I could play 12 characters right now in my fucking head.
Right?
Yeah. And they'll be way more better executed than her performance.
Not to say that her performance wasn't good or that she wasn't talented, but
Her portrayal or the director's vision of
Yeah.
the 3 chicks was like, come on, dude.
it's just that I feel like it's just part of the culture at this point. The fact
Yeah.
that their novelas have to be so exaggerated. Because I've seen some Mexican actors kind of make it into the U.S.
They don't really find a whole lot of success.
Oh, you don't, but you still find some, and just seeing those people there gives me hope to know that I
Yeah.
can make it too.
Like the one that played Fida. What's her name? She's smoking hot. Whatever. I'm not gonna be able to think of it. But yeah, there's a couple of really talented Mexican actors. But I feel like they definitely probably trained in the more European style of acting, because that's what U.S. gets a lot of their influence from the European style, like Michael Chekhov and Michael Zalski. It's from Monsters Inc.
Oh, but for example, this other actor Eugenio Derbez, also I grew up watching him in La Familia Peluche back in Mexico.
Yeah.
He just really funny show, but at the same time it was kind of exaggerated. And then just seeing that when he came to the U.S. and he started making movies with the U.S. and commercials, he was doing more of the American style, or what I like to consider more of a realistic acting style, not as exaggerated as it would be on a comedy or in a novela.
You know what? Um, if you think about acting from the 1920s and the 30s here in the States, and maybe a little bit of the 40s, I think it's the exact same thing as what's going on in Mexico with the acting styles now. Then, you know what I'm saying? Of course, they're getting more Americanized with like Netflix does it a lot, right? They got the shows in Spanish, like Pablo the show, the Escobar show. It was on Netflix, a huge hit here in the States and in Mexico. I remember talking to some cousins in Mexico, and they're like, "Yeah, this is the bee's knees," because they got Netflix in fucking Mexico. Yeah. And so, you know, you think about how actors acted in the 20s and 30s. Like, yeah, see, well, I came over here just to ask you for a smoke, darling. Oh, why, thank you. You are such a gentleman. Oh, of course, my dear. Well, how about you and I go out to the whatever fucking the theater and go watch the show, baby. You know,
You're super exaggerated with everything.
Super exaggerated. It's just fucking same thing with the Mexican style of acting, man. Maybe that's just I don't want to say primitive, but it's like maybe like the first level, and then something else gets introduced into the community or the culture, and then that's the new style.
We definitely have to start introducing more realistic acting style into the Hispanic acting community,
especially here in Bakersfield.
Yeah,
just introducing Hispanic theater.
Yeah,
man, that's got to be something to watch, right? Hispanic theater.
Man, I'm really excited about George.
Why?
Because he's given me a lot of very pleasant surprises with his acting.
I've found that he's very talented.
He's quite skillful, and
he's been doing it forever, and you would just by talking to him, you would never guess.
I mean, just by watching him on the first times, you wouldn't guess it. Right. On the first few rehearsals, it was kind of difficult to get him to open up.
I'm gonna have him on the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
We sort of talked about it a little bit. I was like, hey, when are you gonna come on? He goes, whenever you want, dude. So.
I shouldn't talk shit about him then.
No, dude, the truth is the truth, and George is a very humble person, so I don't think anything will do anything besides slide off his back, you know.
Yeah, and there's really nothing bad to tell about him, or at least like that will be considered talking shit. Just at first he was very quiet on the rehearsals. It was costing him a bit of work to bring the character that was needed. But right now I feel like he's really have it down. He really gets it now.
Yeah, I think he's if I start directing, God forbid, I'm definitely gonna have him I'm gonna write roles for him.
Nice,
you know
get there.
This is like one of those. It's just one of those actors. You go, ooh, okay, and I feel like getting him to come out to Stars West might be able to introduce some more to the theater out here.
The big restaurant.
No, the Stars West.
Oh, the one that we're.
Because he performed it. He's had like one act. He wrote one act.
Yeah, he told me about it.
That performed at the Empty Space. And I was like, whoa, dude.
Right.
That's like some next level shit.
Exactly.
I'm over here on level 1 acting. You're over here on level 2 directing. He's over here writing, producing, and directing,
and acting on them too.
Acting, dude. Fuck, he's unlocked like all these levels.
He's everywhere. He's on all of it, which is honestly one of the best ways to do it, because not only can you start directing and giving yourself the roles that you want, but you write the roles that you want.
Right.
And you write the stories that you want to see.
I remember thinking about that with Servant to Masters. And John had given himself one of the biggest roles, and he was the director. And I was like, this fucking dude, he only wanted to do this show so he could do this character. And I was like, you know what? If I was at that level, then yeah, I'll do the same thing.
And he did mention sometimes when he was talking to me that character was one of the main reasons he went to the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he wanted that character. He wanted to do that character, and I mean, he has the skill and the knowledge to back it up.
Yeah.
He had the skill to actually be in the play and be directing it at the same time and directing himself. And honestly, that's why I started doing when I started the rehearsal process, I was doing quite some of the things that he did as well. I enjoyed it, and I'm doing things that I've seen from most of the directors that I've worked with, because the things that I thought that worked or the things that I kind of liked although the character study
Uh-huh.
and us just sitting down and talking about the character, that I don't want to say that's original, but that's something that I haven't seen any director do, and that's something that I wanted to start doing myself.
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea because then you're the actions of the actors feel more motivated because you understand the character better.
And you make sure that the actors are actually understanding the character right away from day one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
Man, I wish you guys would have gotten off book sooner. I should have said something about it sooner as well. That was on me.
I think it's on everybody.
Yeah.
Even the board members at Stars West, dog. Even the universe, dog. It's on the universe, bro.
Yeah, it's all the universe.
It's on the universe.
But yeah, even the members, like, I'm not saying they
Nobody from the board members is ever gonna listen to any of this shit, dog.
wait, what?
Nobody from the board members from Stars is ever gonna listen to any of this shit.
But still, like, I don't want to talk
Omnipotent
shit just
beings.
for the sake of talking shit, you know.
Well,
But
wait till the show closes.
good idea.
And then start talking
Good
all
idea.
the shit you want, dog.
Exactly.
These unfunded motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying?
No, but right now the only thing that kind of bothered me is the fact that the person who was going to build the stage, I was already talking to him before the play even started or the rehearsal process started, and then he got fired because of the personal reasons. And then it's like, well, I gotta wait for you guys to be finished, to be done with your show, so you can start paying attention to my show now. Like, that's the only thing that kind of bothered me. But
And there's a little bit is out of the control of the the theater company,
yeah, it was kind of out of their control as well.
and it kind of put everybody in a fucking bind. And it was kind of a shitty week for everybody. Well, of course, it was nowhere near as shitty as one for one person.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the person who had to get fired.
yeah, that sucks. Well, man, we're at an hour and 45 minutes. I definitely feel like we squeezed in quite a bit.
Yeah.
I do have to go pick up those shoes for the show.
Oh yes.
I'm meeting them tonight. So we'll finish on this. I asked every guest this. So God forbid something to happen, you knock on wood. This might be an opportunity, maybe one of the main opportunities that your voice gets heard in your words. You know, what is something that you want to be heard by the people you love? If God forbid something were to happen to you,
Just by the people I love.
or whatever you want to say now, that could be kind of archived in memorial. Because thinking of your own mortality kind of sucks, but
I've thought about it ever since my sister got killed. It's just something you can't avoid. Life itself is it's kind of empty if you start thinking about it too much. So just try to be happy.
try to be happy.
Do whatever makes you happy. Do whatever you feel like will fulfill you in life. And don't allow any societal expectations define your life. Because at the end of the day, those people who criticize you about what you were doing, they're not going to be living your life. It's only you. And I mean, if you're going through a hard time right now, try to pick yourself up. It sounds like an asshole thing to say, but realistically, nobody else is going to come pick you up. Nobody else is going to come to tell you to do something.
Right.
Once you become an adult, it's on you. So make the best choices for you.
Very cool. Very wise. And on that, man, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. I love you.
I love you too.
And I'm glad. I'm grateful for getting to know you. I really am. And I guess that concludes today's episode. Let's get to date. Today is October 31st, Halloween, 2021. Halloween. Right now it's 8:20, and I gotta go pick up these goddamn shoes. Thank you all for listening. Like Ivan says, pick yourself up if you're feeling down, and if you need help, please reach out. I know times get tough, but that only means you got to get tougher. So thank you for listening, and if you're still listening, god damn it, I fucking love you. If you're still listening, an hour and 50 minutes in, so please like, comment, maybe subscribe, do whatever you want. It's all right. Enjoy yourself. Thank you for listening, and thank you for coming on, Ivan.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
And if any of you gets the chance and lives in Bakersfield or nearby,
Right.
feel free to come watch the show.
Right. So we'll be at the Stars West, Stars Playhouse formerly, November 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Yes.
And then on the next weekend,
On the 12th, 13th, and 14th.
on the 12th, 13th, and 14th. You can get the information online on Stars' website, and you can buy the tickets there as well. So please, My Mañana Come by Elizabeth Irwin is a fantastic show, and it's directed by a fantastic director, and it's acted by fantastic actors. So if you get the chance, just go on the internet there, the onlines, and order your tickets, or just come on by. We'll have plenty of seats for you. So thank you for listening, and you have a wonderful night. Thank you. Bye-bye.